Well, our two leaders here, they've been out an awful long time now, way back at, long before 50-odd kilometres, so around about 40-something kilometres. I didn't get the exact distance it was, but both Kirken and Merckx were away earlier on with a group of riders. Some of those that just couldn't hold the pace, drifted back into the main peloton, and here they are now coming up for this next climb, the final climb of the day. Quite a tough little one ahead of these riders, inside 25 kilometres to go, and the main bunch just beginning to close up on that gap. Here are our two chasers trying to come up to them. Seem to go rather quickly. Sean, this seems rather strange to me, just send two men off down the road like that. Is it a stepping stone for people like Voigt and Roos to come up to them? I mean, they seem to be galloping rather quick, or should they stay back and help their best placed riders?
Well, I think it's a tactic. Bonjour, first of all, Chabanel. He's, we see him yesterday. He was doing a lot of the work on the front. I think he's just trying to get up the climb a bit before the bunch, and that way maybe Didier Roos is going to try and do something on the climb. I think it's the best tactic to have him up there, because he'd not be able to match the big guns really when they start going for it. So I think it's a good tactic of on behalf of the Bonjour team.
Well, this climb, a long drag, but it's a very difficult one down the other side. And as we came up it today in the car, I might add, we were chatting, Sean and myself, but we felt the quality of it was likely to be a first category climb, but they've only designated a second category climb. But compared with the first category climb just down the road, the Col de Bourgaille, this one is probably equally as hard to climb, but they're starting further down towards what we might call sea level, whereas the first category climb, they went up a lot higher. If you just look at how high up in the sky they were, the Col de Bourgaille was just 702 metres above sea level, whereas this one's just 370 metres above sea level, but the actual climbing itself is not dissimilar. This is just a bit shorter than the Col de Bourgaille. This is the Col de Tanneron, and when they get to the top of the climb, they'll just have 14 kilometres to go, of which a large chunk of it is downhill. These are two chasers then, going after Merckx and Kirken. That's up there in the front. And they are going to have little bits. This is before we get the climb proper. Some of these twists and turns here are really going to perhaps play havoc with the chase group, because we've got quite a lot of riders. There must be around about 50-60 riders still in the chase group at the moment, which contains most of the favourites. Most of the favourites for the overall classification, or many of them, missed the break yesterday. I was speaking to Cadel Evans about what happened, and he said that there was just a little gap opened up, and as Sean said, they'd rested, they stopped for a bit of a wee. The Bonjour went on the front, and Jalabert and Roos went up in that group, and then suddenly we had this group of about 25 riders just prize themselves away. And it appears, when I was talking to the rest of the lads, that there was quite a lot of driving being done by the main field when they realised the gap had got, but they were all looking at each other and said, well, you take a turn. Then one team went for a bit, then somebody else went for a bit, but the way they were, the impetus with that front group just broke it away. And people like Cadel Evans, who had been looking around, he said, well, Frijo was there, and Merck and Zuller was there. A lot of people in the overall classification were there, and they just didn't realise the importance of it, and it was too late. But when we got to the bottom of that climb at Montferrand, those of you who may have seen it, we checked back, by the way, and amazing, because when they hit the bottom of the climb, it's only about an 8-9 kilometre climb, the gap was nearly 3 minutes back to the main field. And when Wunderkraft went across the line, having won the stage, amazingly, there were two tremendous climbs. One, Cadel Evans finished in 15th spot, the Australian, 2 minutes 24 seconds down on Wunderkraft, and Dario Frigo, last year's winner of the Paris-Nice, he finished 2 minutes 30 seconds down, just 6 seconds behind Cadel Evans. And young Cadel Evans, a great mountain bike rider, riding for the first time at this level in a multi-stage race. Therefore, we reckon probably recorded time somewhat faster even than Wunderkraft that won the stage. But they left it too late. They rode up through dribs and drabs of the riders who managed to go with that early break, but it was a bit too late. But they certainly showed, both of them, Evans and Frigo, their ability to climb under pressure. And bearing in mind that tomorrow we've got the Col d'Ez, it might be a chance for them to pull back some more time. Now the splits are coming here as Merckx is taken off, and Kirken, who I think, according to the rumours flying around, he had a famous, was it grandfather, Sean?
Yes, that's right. His grandfather was in the Tour of France in 48 and 50. He finished fourth, I think it was, or vice versa, 48, and in 50 he finished fifth.
And the young lad himself, Kirkham, what, 4th in the under-23 World Championship on a couple of occasions as well?
Yes, 4th. I think it's 4th on one occasion and 5th on another occasion. So he's been, he's been a very good amateur, and he's been around for a couple of years.
Well, if Kirkham had a famous grandfather, this chap had a famous father, Axel Merckx. Having come there, you can see the red, black and yellow bands on his sleeves, that to show that he was a Belgian champion too as well. He's got a tall, gangling lad, but he's climbing quite well at the moment. This, how would you define as the big field begins to break up this particular climb, Sean, in terms of steepness, road surface, twists and turns? How do you rate it?
Well, I think this one will definitely it should definitely break it up. The Tannerone, it's always a very, very fast up it. In the end of the stage also, that they're coming over quite a lot of climbs, and the last couple of days, as they go through the 20k to go mark there, a lot of tired legs. So I think we should see a lot of action, especially from the guys like Azule and Frigo, Cadel Evans. They should definitely try and have a go. Dufault have a go and trying to take back some time they lost yesterday.
Well, these riders we've seen nipping off down the front, was this beyond the instructions of the team manager, like we're seeing here, that the Credit Agricole, Voigt is their top man, but the fellow went up there, now going back again here. We've got more attacks coming on from, I won't say lesser lights, but certainly there seems to be a lot of activity as one or two riders got. But the main big hitters in there, Wunderkraft is still pedalling with his telecom teammates in the pink, just sitting on the front there. Who's going to sort of be the mastermind of this? Is the team managers back there in the car with the two-way radios?
Well, yeah, it can be the team managers, but it also depends on how the rider feel. And some of those riders might not have any role to do on this time, but they might feel very good, and they might just have a go because the feeling is good. And that's the way it's in bike racing. You can go through a patch where you suffer a lot, and then you come good at a couple of miles later, and the guys go on the attack. Then they just try their hand, try their luck, and if you don't do that, well, you're never going to win.
Well, at the moment then, every man for himself, bearing in mind that also we go over the top here. This is Luttenberger. Now here is a very good climber. Finished, what was he, about 4th or 5th in the Tour de France a few years ago, then seemed to fade into oblivion. Various teams took him on board. People like the Rabobank squad employed him, but they didn't get the best out of him. And so he went from team to team, and now he seems to be getting a new lease of life in the Tacconi Sport team that have brought with them on this particular race Dario Frigo, last year's winner. That's why he wears number 1. That's why the team is wearing 1 through to 8, because there are 8 riders per team. And this man from Tacconi Sport, Peter Luttenberger, the Austrian rider, 6 on his back here. All the single numbers is Dario Frigo's team, under the very experienced eye of Algeri, who's keeping an eye on things at the moment. And Luttenberger might do well, but what will Frigo do? Will he come up to him? We'll have to wait and see. Axel Merckx still working hard here on the front. He seems to have slimmed down a little bit in recent years. I won't say he was overweight, but he looks much more lanky now than he used to be, Sean.
Yes, I think he's a bit lighter than we have seen him, especially at this time of year. We haven't seen him as good as this, and he's doing a fabulous ride there today. To go out there earlier on and to be able to ride so hard on this final climb, and to drop a guy like Kirsten, you have to be going well, because he's quite a good climber as well. So definitely Axel is on a very good day today, and he's holding on well out there. And if the bunch doesn't react, very quickly, immediately, he could get over this climb, because he only is about 2 or 3 kilometers to the top, so he could get over the climb and make it to the finish and take the stage today.
Well, Charrier for the Phonak team, beginning to find life a bit difficult out there. It really is outman for himself, and that's one thing we do get with these cameras, picking up the race as it goes through. This is bike racing when you're right in amongst the action, and differently too, Sean. Often we see on the climbs that the leader's yellow jersey, whatever the colour might be, just controls the field, and sort of has a slowly wearing down process on the rest. But as these chaps are going off the front and leaving the yellow jersey behind, it just seems that perhaps the yellow jersey is waiting. What will he be doing? Just looking to make sure that the Wunderkraft, the Jalabert and Roos, Kazar, are they the only people he's interested in? Because there's such a big gap down, for instance, in 9th spot, Ulo is 1 minute 29 seconds down. Is that a good position for Wunderkraft to be?
Yes, I think Wunderkraft, these guys are not really his worry on this climb. He's not going to start chasing those guys, but I'd not be surprised if we see Vinacroft going in the attack himself here, because on the climb, if he waits in the group and if he's feeling good, I'd be surprised if he does not go in the attack and trying to take some time out of Jalabert, because he will have the confidence, after yesterday, after dropping Jalabert, so he knows that he can crack Jalabert on a climb. And we see here on the climb now, we turn here, and this is, it gets to a hard part of the climb here. There's quite a lot of steep sections in it. The surprise there is Plancard. He's been the surprise of this race in the climbs, because we've never seen him really do anything like this before, but he's been up there the day into Saint-Étienne. He was in that group, in the leading group, and only for the three riders away, Jalabert and the other two, he was in there for a stage victory, which was a major surprise to him, winning a stage like the one around Saint-Étienne.
He passed a comment to you this morning. I don't know whether it's printable or not. Was he just saying good morning?
Yeah, so I was talking this morning, because this morning off Saint-Étienne I spoke to him and asked, he had the mountain jersey that morning. I asked him, did he have any chance of holding on to it? He said no, not at all, because he said, I'll be dropped earlier on, I'll be in the Group Eto, as they say. But he was very strong that day, and he was very prominent. And as I said, he finished in the main in the first part of the group behind Jalabert and the other two leaders. So he's climbing very well this year.
Now, quickly looking down some of those numbers of the riders that have been out there, we mentioned Peter Luttenberg going. He is the danger man of this little group, by the way, because coming into the stage today, he's lying 17th overall, 3 minutes and 26 seconds down. So Luttenberger certainly could be improving his position, bearing in mind that once we get over the top, we've got a very nasty and very fast descent in places, but sometimes very tricky turns left and right. So it can be very, very tough indeed on the descent for people who can't handle the bicycle. By the way, if you're watching the yellow flowers on the right-hand side, well, they're not flowers so much, but they are trees with a lovely yellow blossom on them. We're going to see at the top of this climb, as Kirkham's getting reeled back in by lots of other riders, this yellow tree as we go further and further up. It's a great mass as you look down into the valley of this yellow tree, and it is mimosa. I know that you experts out there have already spotted what it is, but I had to stop on the side of the road and ask a chap up there, because I'm not that well into trees. I can understand what an oak tree looks like and what a Christmas tree is, but I wasn't into knowing what this lovely yellow flower blossom was on this enormous phalanx of trees all over and down the valley. And when we stopped the car and to just check this thing, it was deep breath and you could smell it. So back at home, you take a deep breath, you'll probably be able to smell the mimosa all the way from the top of the climb just outside Cannes. Again, at the top of the climb too, they were selling honey, so obviously the bees get jolly busy on the mimosa and produced the honey, which was on sale at the top here. No chance for us to buy some. We just jumped back in the car and rocketed down to Cannes for the finish today. No doubt our cameras will pick up the town of Cannes. We'll tell you more about it when we get there, as Merckx now, young Axel Merckx, looked like he might be getting company. And is this Plancard coming up, Sean?
Yes, this is as I was saying, it's a surprise to him coming up to catch Merckx on a climb like this. It's a major surprise that he's climbing so well, because he's known over the years as being a great sprinter, very good in the flat, but on the climbs he always had problems. You see, he's pedaling very well here. He's turning the gear very, very nice and fast. It's a surprise to me. I think he will surprise a lot of people the way he's climbing in this. He's been climbing this Paris-Nice and today.
He's now caught 10 seconds back to Charrière. There's 23 seconds back to 4 riders at the moment. Dufo's in the group too as well, just at 20-odd seconds. And Algon's also made it across to that group of 4 riders, and the main field a bit further back than that, so it's beginning to split quite a bit. And now the yellow jersey beginning to accelerate. It looks now that he's woken up to the fact that he's got to do some work here, and there you can see the little stepping stones up in front. Flores going well. There's lots of riders here looking for points in the King of Mountains competition, but that's one of the Once riders up the front. Plenty of individual attempts here, but no cohesive attack from any one particular team. Of the teams we've got in this race, 21 teams, of 8 riders started. In fact, one team only started 7. The Once-Eroski team only started with 7 riders. There is the whole raft of mimosa trees on the right-hand, left-hand side, and there's a Basque flag too coming out to support the Escatel riders and those Basque men riding in other teams too as well. It's a gorgeous sight. But the way they're going up here, I can tell you it is really a grind, but they just pedal up here. Going back to the pedaling performance, now Plankart's gone past Merckx. This, in the commentary box, everybody's looking at each other here. They say, what's Plankart doing this? Jean-Francois Bernard just alongside me here, commentating for the French part of Eurosport. And he's looked at Sean Kelly here in sort of surprise about what's going on. Jean-Francois Bernard, winner of the Paris-Nice in 1992, past brilliant performance in the Tour de France as well. Jeff then now being our commentator for the French side, and Adrien van der Poel the other side, world champion when it came to the cyclo-cross, and also a great road rider too as well. So they're all looking across here in absolute amazement at each other, and Sean's got a wry smile on his face. Sean, did you ever think you'd see this?
No, we would certainly certainly if you write this before the stage, Plankart wouldn't be in the reckoning at all, and it's a major surprise to see him climbing so well, and catching up to Max there and going through him. And as I said, he had a great ride in the stage of Saint-Etienne, which was a very, very difficult stage, and it's something we'd never seen Plankart do over the years. He was just known as a sprinter.
I'm just looking down the list though. He seems to have, like many people, had bad days to go with the good days, and is not really, can't find him in what I call contention for the overall honours at the moment. He was up there quite early on during the racing, but seems to have drifted off the pace a bit now. So he's just, I think, showing people his climbing ability. But no, we've got to be careful here, because when he got the polka dot jersey, we marvelled the fact that a climb was in the polka dot jersey. And my mind goes back to the Tour de France when we started at the Futurescope, and that was the day that David Miller took the yellow jersey with that tremendous time trial. It was about a 12-kilometre time trial, and the Futurescope course had within about the first 1.5–2 kilometres a short, sharp climb, and there was a prize for the King of the Mountains prize was the fastest man to the top of that climb. I forget whether it's fastest man from the start of the time trial or from the bottom of the climb to the top, but on that particular occasion, you followers of cycling will probably remember the story well, but for those who are switched on this Friday afternoon, don't know the first thing about bike racing, let me tell you the story please about that particular occasion. A fellow called Marcel Wust decided, he's a sprinter, an out-and-out sprinter, good roadman as well, but a good sprinter. He looked at this and he got his road bike out. Well, all the chaps for this time trial were going to ride their time trial bike. He decided to ride his road bike, and he romped up the climb and took the polka dot jersey. Tremendous performance. Interesting sight here, the green and white jersey of the Crédit Agricole team there behind, taking a sharp little drink, is in the yellow jersey Vunekroff, overall race leader. The green jersey securely attached to his back wheel is Laurent Jalabert, and behind it then in the blue, white and red national championship jersey of France is Roos. And so we've got there on your screen now some of the top men in the race. In fact, we've got the top 3 all there for you. Vunekroff coming into stage today 6 seconds ahead of Laurent Jalabert. Well, Jalabert's nicked back an extra second in the sprint just down the road, so technically he's 5 seconds ahead of Jalabert. And in the third spot, Didier Roos being a previous wearer of the yellow jersey, he's 49 seconds down on Vunekroff. So if this lot stays together, I'm not back here with Plankart out in front trying to get the stage victory, but if they still come together, there is the bonus of 10 seconds, 6 seconds and 4 at the end of it all, and that's providing they can absorb any breakaways. Could be a sprint finish, and we'll wait till we get there. I hope you'll stay with us, because we're not a long way from the end of this race, and I think we're running at something like about 40 kilometres an hour, about 25 miles an hour average, and going down this climb here, down the descent. They've actually swept the road in places. They've also been out with some tarmac and filled in a few of the potholes, but it's a very bumpy descent. And Sean, what exactly happened to you when you came down and managed to come up? What was the day like?
Well, the day was it was a very wet day. We had rain right through the stage, and of course on a descent like this, when it's wet, it's more dangerous. And I took just a bit too much risk. I think too fast into a corner. I just went sliding off. So that's it was my own fault that I came down.
Now, you've been down many mountains and you're a long way down. You're near the bottom of it. Were you relaxing at all? How do you suddenly relax, or was it just an indiscretion going too quick?
I think as you get down the climb and you descend well, you get more confident in yourself, and you get bolder and bolder as I go on. And I think I got too much confidence in myself, and I started pushing it too much and went too far over the top, and just went sliding off in a corner.
What damage did you do?
Well, I had no damage at all. I just went as I said, slid off down the road, and I was back up real quickly and just only lasted a handful of seconds, and I almost caught the group, the guys who I was in just before the finish, because it was only about 3Ks from the finish.
And damage to your pride, though, I suppose. Were you in the leader's jersey on that occasion? Was one of your years when you were winning it? Or?
No. Duke Lasalo was actually leading on that occasion, and I lost I think about 2 or 3 seconds to him. He just stayed away. He was just out there before me on the finish, but I lost very little, considering that I could have damaged my bike or broke a wheel. I could have lost a lot of time.
Well, there we are. The problems of descending these very tricky little roads, because unlike if you're a Formula One driver and you can go out and practice on the course, so you get to know exactly where the braking points are and how fast you can go around the bends, on these occasions you just can't live the course and you can't understand it. Although of course Dessel, who took over the polka dot jersey in the King of Mountains competition, lived very close to Saint-Etienne, where we had the circuit course just a couple of days ago, and he knew all about the route, and so he went away with an early break, got himself the polka dot jersey. On that occasion, local knowledge did work out in his favour. He got with the brake too, that was not full of the particular flavours at the time for the overall classification. And whoops, says Plankart now, all they from Belgium doesn't really know much about this particular course, but how many Belgians are good at descending? Because there ain't many mountains to come down in Belgium, except those nasty little short, sharp climbs that we get on the Tour of Flanders and so on.
Well, I think a lot of the Belgians are good bike handlers, because the roads the way they're built in Belgium, there's a lot of corners, and the race they do, they're never really a lot of straight road. It's corner all the time, so they have good bike handling. Plankett, of course, he wouldn't make the descents very fast, because he'd be usually a number of minutes behind, so he'd only get into the finish. Where here, he's going for the win, so he's on the limit on the descent. So it's a different situation altogether for him to be in.
Beautiful shot of them twisting and turning on the descent. 10 kilometres to go. And Jalabert moving out the corner. He's going to try and drop the yellow jersey. Trying to drop Bruce as well, moving up there into second spot. Is he going to really have a go at this one? But they spotted him. Jalabert in blue, sorry, in green, behind the man in blue for Alacio.
Dufault.
Is it Dufault, yeah? Well, he's from Switzerland, he knows about descending. Here he goes, here he goes. Is he going to accelerate? This is what he did to catch him napping yesterday and the day before. This is typical Jalabert tactics. Brilliant stuff.
Vinugruff, he needs to be in the wheel of Jalabert, because if the other guys start leaving a gap for him and they don't follow Jalabert, it's going to be difficult for him to pass those riders. So he should be more up on the wheel of Jalabert. At the moment we can see him there, he's in about 5th or 6th position. Of course, we have three riders in between. We have Maps, Luthenberger and Sanchez in between this group, and the leader out front, Plankert.
And that's a corner. We saw that one driving down, and you said it's going to be a nasty one, but I think there's an even worse one shortly, isn't there, Sean? Where
yes.
Like there's two right angle bends with only about 50, maybe less than that, 30 yards between them. Eh?
Yes, there's two right-handers, and they look like they're not as tight as you come into them, but when you come into them, actually they're very tight, and we will see it. I think one of them could be this one here. But they are quite dangerous. The bottom of this descent is quite technical.
Says he who fell off. Right, but still Plankart staying upright. A bit like a threatening bit job when he goes round. He isn't the smoothest of corners, is he?
No, he's not taking the best of line, but the corners are, they're very, very close together here, so it's difficult to get your line right on this sort of descent.
And on the left-hand side, you probably spotted there the chicken wire, the green chicken wire. We call that the catch strip when we came down, thinking there's sort of the rather bounce off it straight back into the circuit. There's also Armco all over the place, which if you hit that, what usually happens is you go over the top anyway. It does enormous damage to your bike, but they're all staying upright well. This is the lot we're seeing on telly. Haven't heard any news over our race radio to say anybody's come off Fedban, but look at that, isn't that a lovely sight? Jalabert still just prizing himself away. But surely today there's so many people behind. We've got about a 3 kilometre run in towards the finish. Do you think Jalabert is wise doing this? Because there are those 10, 6 and 4 seconds bonus at the end of it all. Or is he just, do you think he's after the, for instance, to get to Plancard for a bit of a tow?
No, I think he's trying to put Vingercroft under pressure and maybe, try to see will he make a mistake, which, we've often seen. If you really put the pressure on Vingercroft, he might get very nervous, try to pass the riders because he's in 4th or 5th position there, as I said. He might try to move up, and he could lose on a corner and run wide and lose a bit of time. So Jalabert is going to try everything, because I think he's worried about him for the stage tomorrow, that he won't be able to get rid of him on the finish of the Col d'Ace.
Well, I know back in Great Britain there's a lot of Jalabert supporters, and they're watching him. He looks like looking back and easing slightly now. I think he probably hasn't done the damage he expected to get, as Plancard here on his MBK bike, really looking like he's going out to catch a mouthful of dead flies the way he's going down here. He's getting very close to the bottom when it flattens out, and it's 14 seconds coming over. Yeah, Merckx and Lisenberg, I think it is, are about 50.
Sanchez
has got across.
Yes, Merckx and Sanchez are together.
Right, so where's Luttenberger gone to?
Well, I would reckon Luttenberger's in between the group of Merckx and Sanchez, still being chased by Jalabert.
And it's thinned down the main field. Look at that, the damage done on the descent then. We've got about 3 times that number of riders when we started up the climb, and over the top they were straggling, but they've certainly split the thing apart. Are they going to keep the momentum going?
And the Minister rider going in the attack. Well, this, as we've seen earlier on, David, on the descent, it's so technical. It's difficult if there's a rider who is not a great descender in the group, and he leaves a gap. It's very difficult for the other riders to come by him and pass him out to stay in the group.
Well, we've heard about shaggy dog stories, and just down there was a bar where we stopped for a sandwich at lunchtime, and there looked like the hound of the Baskervilles was going to attack us. A great big thing, like a Doberman Pinscher, a hairy version of it, and it was barking at everything in sight. We didn't know whether we should stay or not, but it was quite pleasant, thank goodness. But we escaped. We're in the commentary point at Cannes. Welcome to Eurosport's coverage of this stage 5 of the Pyrenees. Sean Kelly here, a 7 times winner of the Pyrenees. If you just switched on Friday afternoon, taking an early afternoon or day off from your labours, because don't forget, tomorrow is Poets' Day. We're back on air again on Saturday and Sunday, bringing you the closing stage of this race. And it's not all over yet by any means, because we've got the Col d'Ace tomorrow, 5 kilometres to go. Is it over for Plancard? Can he stay out there then for the Cofidis team? And I wonder if David Miller is watching the action here, wherever he might be, because he's also a Cofidis rider. 15 seconds is the gap now, and he really is burying himself then. These are the 2 men coming up to him, and a further gap back to the main field. He may hang on. What's his chances then, Sean?
Well, I think it's possible to hang out there if he can really dig deep. 15 seconds of a gap from Merckx and Sanchez, and this group behind of Jalabert and Vingercroft is a bit further back.
Now, on the basis that there are more than 3 riders off down the road, do you think Jalabert said, well, stuff that, I'm not going to go for the bonuses because they're all going to go in these leading riders, so I'll happily stay where I am?
Yes, I think Jalabert will stay where he is at the moment. He's got the gain by trying to do anything there. He's just going to stay with Vingercroft really, and not allow Vingercroft to take any time from him here.
Well, other riders here, nobody seems to want to drive this one very hard indeed, actually, so it could be in Plancard's favour to get himself a victory here, and the family back in Belgium will be hanging on to every word from our commentators Danny Nellison and Adrie van der Poel. Will be speaking in Flemish there, to them going on a full bore, and to see if Plancard will get the stage victory. 4 kilometres to go for Plancard. Fassa beginning to drive hard in the front end. That's interesting. Why should they want to go hard unless they've got one of their good sprinters in to have a go, Sean?
Well,
I mean, Kirkin's in there, but...
Yes, well, we don't know who the other riders, maybe Tossato could be still in there. You know, there's maybe someone who is from the Fassa Bordoro team who is pretty fast in the sprint, so there is some reason that they are riding.
Well, Sanchez and Merckx then only about 15 seconds to the leader. Well, it looks like Merckx and Sanchez are going to be caught. Bad luck then for Merckx. He's been away for maybe 120, 130 kilometres, and he's tried very hard indeed. The gap then coming back down, and it says 24 seconds the gap then to Joe Plancard, this group. I'm not quite sure if that's accurate. Where would you place it, Sean?
Well, that is possible. You know, the last time we got Merckx and Sanchez were at 15 seconds. So it's if Plancard has got 24 seconds, he could hang out there. He still have a number of kilometres to go, but it's possible.
Well, he's been Plancard's been a pro now for 10 years. He was turned pro in 1992 for the Panasonic team, the famous team that his uncle, would it be, rode the Panasonic team, which it must be his uncle, wouldn't it? Who got the
Walter.
Well, Willie Walter, yeah. So the Panasonic took him on board as a young pro in 1992, and then went on to the Noble Mill Hester team, Kolstrup. He's been changing teams, like some of us changed socks as Plancard, but now with the Cofidis team, he's got over 30 victories to his career. Can he get one here on the stage 5 of the Paris-Nice?
And 17 seconds of a gap for Plancard.
Still hanging on in there. Oh, Merckx is suddenly gone straight out the back door. Merckx tried manfully to get the stage victory. Got lots of points in the King of Manors competition, so that certainly could be moving up there. But Plancard, not a pretty sight, by the way. Oh, thank you, 2 spoonfuls.
13 seconds of a gap.
It's coming down. Oh, come on. All you Dave Miller supporters for the Cofidis squad, get behind him and will him into win. But he's looking back, Sean. Surely you should... Come on, tell us, what would you do?
Yes, well, the thing to do is just, you know, to dig deep there, get down low on your bike, get an aerodynamic position, and just keep it going. And he's looking around a lot. He's not used to being in a position like this, so it's something really new for him. Yeah,
I'm looking down his successes over the years, and they've been quite useful, all the ones he's got, but they've been in lesser races, like, you know, the Grand Prix de Narne and Grand Prix Knockout. They're not knocking those on the head, but the smaller, lesser races. They're 12 de Bessards. He's won that one too. That's a fairly good race on the calendar. Oh yes, Brussels Kern, he won in 1999, so he's got some reasonable success behind him, but nothing up the level of the oh, he's sat up now. That's what a shame. Yeah, dear. Well, that puts a different complexion on the finish, doesn't it, Sean? The 10 seconds, 6 and 4 bonus at stake.
Yes. Well, it puts a different position altogether on the thing. And Jalabert, possibly he might have a go at this finish, because it's a small enough group, so he might try and get up there.
But the right-hand turn with only 300 metres to go, it twists and turns, doesn't it? It's not a good straight run in. And bear in mind that awful crash in Amaltier when he was brought down. Nelson came down when that policeman stepped out to take a photo. That certainly upset his ability, well, not ability, his desire to contest the sprints like this. Do you think he would be now, if he go up on the right-hand side of the gutter, is he going to throw that caution to the wind? Is he going to say, I've still got the ability to win the sprint?
Yes, well, I think he's got to do off the sprint here, because you know, the time bonifications, he's going to try and have a go and get up there. I would reckon.
1 kilometre to go then for Jalabert. He's got the green jersey, just rubbing shoulders with one of the Crédit Agricole riders up there. The yellow jersey's just in front of him, Wunderkopf. So Jalabert then going into this stage was just some 5 seconds down now on the overall classification for the Paris-Nice. If he gets the victory and Wunderkopf doesn't make it in the top 3 places, then Jalabert could be in yellow. Watch this space, as they say, and also watch the pushing and shoving, because a lot of riders who survived this part of the course will be desperately keen to try and get a victory in the Paris-Nice. That's a great one to have to your list of Palmares as the Crédit Agricole team start to wind it up to as well. Looks like Cioni on the front then for the Mapei team. I'm not quite certain it is, but
no, Kettle Evans.
It is Evans. You are right. And so then, as they start to go, one of the lads from the Kelme squad sweeps through there.
Pataki is still there.
So if Pataki's there, that is Pataki's shot to go now. And I think that Jalabert has faded out of one. But Pataki's got it then. Second might have been the lad from Kelme, and third was one of from Coppice. But Jalabert and Wunderkraft were out of the frame then. Pataki, who survived on the climb, went into the lead there and got that victory then. But the rider from the Kelme team, we'll have to watch that one again. In fact, we forgot to stand up and look out the window to see it was, but watch this again. Pataki zooms through here, makes it look so simple indeed. Jalabert was tucked in the gap behind, didn't quite make it at all. There's on the left-hand side, we didn't see the on our screen then, but the Kelme rider was thumping his handlebars. He made a lovely launch round the bend and came into jolly good position indeed. It might be Leon, I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to wait and see of the Kelme riders which one got that particular. Here he is. Look, the Kelme rider on the left-hand side, the little chap it is, and he's got to Pataki right behind him. Pataki, and in fact Jalabert had to put his hand out. Jalabert had to put a hand out, and that might have upset him as the Crédit Agricole rider came through, but my goodness, it was close then for the rider from the Kelme team who thought he got it. He's waving his arms in the air and saying, yes, it's mine. I'll wait for the photograph because that was close. It might even be that he got it, Sean. Do you want to stick your neck out?
Well, I think yes, Pataki definitely got it. Matan, I would think was second, and the third place rider was it maybe Vicioso, as we see it here. Jalabert, he was pushed tight to the barriers. He didn't get a clear run, and at this point is over when you get boxed in like that.
No doubt about it from the top though. Pataki getting that one on the line, and it was well clear of the sprint from the Kelme rider. It was Vicioso, Andy Vicioso, the young rider who took the green and white jersey earlier on. Well, Vicioso means, I understand in Spanish, vicious, and he would be a bit upset with that one anyway.
He looked vicious there at the finish. He was punching the air.
Do you think he sent Pataki a Christmas card?
Well, surprising that a Spaniard that he got up there on the sprint like that. We would not have expected somebody like that. But against a sprinter like Pataki, well, he's sprinting so well at this time of year. It's almost impossible to beat him. Well,
we're probably going to have an interview with him coming up here, and over to Sean then for the translation.
Second victory in this Paris-Nice is good for you.
Sì, sicuramente io oggi non lo so, non era una tappa sicuramente adatta alle mie caratteristiche perché era una tappa molto dura.
This stage is not a stage that suits me. It was going to be hard for the end for me to finish in the front.
Je crois que c'est surtout qu'Ivan Basso est passé un petit peu à côté.
It's going to be difficult for the next stage.
Donc pour vous, c'est quand même bien d'avoir repris 2 victoires d'étape parce que vous êtes quand même passé à côté au classement général. Je veux dire que
Ivan Basso did not go so well in this Paris-Nice. He was for the general classement, but you have had a fabulous tour.
Posizione in classifica generale è importante aver vinto un'altra tappa.
Sì, ieri
it's very important for you to win the second stage.
Niente, sta andando molto forte, era molto dispiaciuto ieri sera perché voleva
Yesterday I was really out of the race.
Per noi oggi sicuramente una vittoria ci ha ripagato un po' la sfortuna di ieri.
Merci.
For us today, the victory gives us a lot of confidence.
Well, there he is. I don't think he'd be too happy about tomorrow's route when he looks at it. There's no less than 8 climbs tomorrow, by the way. We didn't finish up the Col d'Ez, so I don't see a sprint like this. We're likely to be back as we were yesterday, with them coming up in dribs and drabs at the top of Montferrand yesterday. And I think tomorrow we're going to see the same sort of thing going up to the top of the Col d'Ez. So today's stage certainly was a little more of a sort out because one or two of the inverted commas favourites missed the boat again, but the top place riders, Wunderkraft, Jalabert Jalabert and Roos was certainly in that leading group there. So the situation on the general classification, we'll give it to you later on. But Vicioso, very upset then. Pataki came thundering through. Look at the difference in size, those two. The bigger Gooden beats the good Littleton, and in the third spot was the rider from the Cofidis team. We'll try and pick that up for you in just a moment, because we missed out on that one here at the finish in Cannes. And in fact, Matin, was it Nico Matin? Right, Sean's got that for us. Take us again through that, Sean. There was a bit of shoving and pushing. Do you think that really took Jalabert off Boyle?
Well, yes, it was a bit crowded in the sprint. The speed was not high enough leading into the last 300-400 metres. We had the Fassa Bartola guys earlier on who laid it out very well, but they seemed to die here in the last 600 or 700, 800 metres. So it was a bit tightly packed, and of course the finish as well, as we said, you come around the roundabout and it's very, very tight. So it's not really a great run-in for the riders. And we see now, it's very, very much grouped together, and it's easy to get boxed in, and that's what happened to Jalabert. He was trying to, as we said, to come around the roundabout here. He was quite quietly, boxed in, and then. When you get boxed in at that late stage, it's really over. You can't do nothing about it.
Good to see Cadel Evans having a go then. The mountain biker turned to thin two wheels now, showing a lot of courage in the mountains too. Tried to go for the long one there. I think Taffy was over there too for the Mappe team, but didn't get up in the top three places. Pataki taking that one then, just ahead of Vicioso, and Nico Matin into third spot. And that's the rundown. You can see who they were. And bad luck then to Joe Plancott, finishing fifth this time. Did get so close to the finish to get that victory. Voigt, well, he's well placed over on general classification. He'll happy just to finish that front. Laurent Jalabert easing back in the sprint, just getting ahead of Vunecroft, but not picking up any of the bonuses, because they went to the riders finishing first, second and third. So there shouldn't be any major change on the overall classification, with Vunecroft leading Jalabert just by 5 seconds going into stage tomorrow. Lovely look round the bay here, by the way. Very much known by Brits, because we actually really started Canaf many years ago, because way back in the early 1800s it was just fishermen that were here, and along came a chap called Lord Brougham, who had retired from being Lord Chancellor. He went there and decided to put up a big villa, and from then the Brits followed him across, and that's how Cannes developed over the years. Who would have expected though, Sean, that here an Italian would be into Cannes leading the sprint after such a hectic day?
Well, certainly not this one. We would not have expected him here. A guy like Bass was somebody, as it would have been possible with the climb of the Tagneron. That he's such a great climber. But to see Pataki here winning it is a surprise, and it proves how strong he is in the climbs. And Plancott, of course, as well, getting so close on a day like today. For him to win a stage like this, it would be a fabulous achievement for him to pull off this one. But so close, but yet so far. But the sprinters, we see him yesterday, they probably took it a bit easier. Plancott certainly said that this morning. He took it easier yesterday, and today he was going to have a try. He actually said that. And Pataki is probably the same. One day they give it a go, really dig deep and try and hang in there, and that's the way they do it. And Pataki, it worked today.
Well, it won't work tomorrow for him, that I'm sure, with that finish up the col. There's a first category climb. Looking across there with the valley and out there towards the islands. There's an island out there on the far side called the Santa Margarita, and in fact that used to be used as a penal colony, and that's where the story about the man in the iron mask came from. But the man with the smile on his face today, not hidden by the mask. Vunecroft there, 5 seconds ahead of Jalabert. Roos into third spot, Kazar, Voigt, Kivilev, Skamenja, so Hulo. Pretty well all of those are, as we had this morning, yes, the top 10 men, according to that, still survived the day, staying up close to the yellow jersey. And there is Vunecroft coming up to get another opportunity to wear the yellow jersey, as he will do going in to the stage tomorrow up to Col.